been more than a decade since James Cameron first introduced us to the world of Pandora. This mystical planet has a bioluminescent forest, living consciousness known as Eywa, and of course, the floating mountains. Avatar came out in 2009 and shattered the film industry and the box office as we know it. Then, in 2022, Avatar: The Way of Water came out, expanding upon that vision and diving headfirst into Pandora's oceans, giving us the lore of the people who live in different ecosystems of Pandora, while also cleverly observing the bonds of survival and family. Now, with Avatar: Fire and Ash right on the horizon, the anticipation for the third installment could not be higher. However, before we get into this new chapter, it's only fair to look back on the previous chapters of the Avatar franchise to see just how far we've come. So, if you need to brush up on your Pandoran mythology, this is the video for you. That said, before we get into our explanation, we do have a very quick request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Avatar 2009. The Awakening of Jake Sully. The story of Avatar begins in the distant future of 2154. The Earth has been completely ravaged by ecological collapse and corporate greed, so to survive, humanity has had to explore different worlds, and at the center of this exploration is Pandora, the mystical moon teeming with life and a valuable mineral called unobtainium. To mine this unobtainium, the RDA, or Resources Development Administration, established a fortified colony that relied on the military to suppress any kind of native resistance. Now, right in the middle of this conflict, we meet Jake Sully. He's a paraplegic ex-Marine whose twin brother, a scientist trained for the Avatar program, passed away tragically. So now, Jake is his replacement. He undergoes the process, and through highly advanced neural technology, he gains control of the hybrid Avatar body, a towering blue-skinned Na'vi form that is genetically linked to his DNA. For Jake, this is more than just another mission. He gets to walk again, run again, and experience his life from scratch again. So when he first awakes in his Avatar body, he does the exact same thing that anyone else in his shoes would do. He feels the ground beneath his feet after years of not experiencing it, and it's truly a breathtaking moment. He becomes a part of the research team led by Dr. Grace Augustine, a compassionate xenobotanist and anthropologist who spent years building bridges with the Na'vi. But Colonel Miles Quaritch doesn't see the connections. As the head of RDA security, he only sees the Na'vi as threats. He wants to uproot them by force. One day, while on a routine mission, Jake becomes separated from his team in Pandora's wilderness and gets lost. The forest turns hostile the moment night falls, and Jake's ass would have been toast if not for Neytiri, the fierce and graceful Na'vi warrior. Even though she's reluctant, on seeing a sign from Eywa, she spares his life and instead takes him to her people, the Omaticaya clan. The leaders of the clan, Etukan and Moat, agree to let Jake stay and learn more about the Na'vi way of life. Obviously, for Jake, this started as an infiltration mission, but soon it becomes a journey of transformation. Jake trains under Neytiri and learns about the Na'vi language, customs, and how they're connected with Pandora. Every plant, every animal, and every breath is connected through Eywa, a living neural network that binds all life. Jake experiences their rituals, their hunts, and their harmony with nature, and that slowly changes him. He starts asking if everything he knew about loyalty and purpose in his human life was even true. As his training progresses, eventually he undergoes the Ikran initiation, where he must bond with a flying banshee. This isn't a simple task. He must face the beast, connect through his neural queue, and form a lifelong partnership. When he succeeds, he's accepted as one of the Omaticaya. He becomes a warrior, and as he soars through the sky, he realizes that this is what true freedom is all about, and eventually, love blossoms between he and Neytiri. But Jake is living a double life, and this is no longer sustainable. He has to send intelligence reports to Colonel Quaritch and Parker Selfridge, the RDA administrator, who will exploit Pandora while he's also getting emotionally involved with them. Eventually, the RDA learns that the home tree, the Omatikaya's stronghold, sits on a massive unobtainium deposit, and they demand evacuation. Jake asks Selfridge to find a peaceful solution, but he doesn't care. Their diplomatic ways obviously didn't work out, and Quaritch orders a full-scale assault. This is where Jake's deception is exposed, and Neytiri is understandably upset. The Na'vi see him as a traitor, and in one of the most harrowing sequences, we see the RDA destroy the home tree. Many of the Na'vi from the Omaticaya clan end up dying in the resulting crash, and Neytiri loses her father, Etukan. Cries from the Na'vi people echo in the air as everything burns around them. Jake is understandably haunted by guilt, and refusing to stand aside, he seeks Eywa's guidance at the most sacred site on the planet, the Tree of Souls. This is where he tames the Toruk, the mighty Last Shadow, a legendary predator who is only ridden by great leaders in the Na'vi lore. With that accomplished, he becomes Toruk Makto and unites the scattered clans of Pandora under a single banner. Then, we get the most staggering showdown. Na'vi warriors on Ikrans fight against RDA gunships. They use arrows against armored glass, and beasts of the forest charge mechanized walkers. And it feels like the entire Na'vi clan is outnumbered by the RDA soldiers until Pandora itself rises in defense. It feels as though Eywa sent stampedes of creatures to turn the tide. Amidst the chaos, Grace Augustine is shot fatally. The Na'vi try to save her by transferring her consciousness into her avatar body, but the ritual fails. However, before dying, Grace feels Eywa, the proof of the planet's living spirit. After this harrowing loss, Jake faces off against Quaritch in a climactic duel. The Colonel's rage is unrelenting, but Neytiri delivers the killing blow just in time to save Jake's life. Quaritch dies, and the RDA forces are defeated. With that, humans are expelled from Pandora and forced to return to Earth. Jake, on the other hand, remains. He goes through the permanent consciousness transfer ritual and becomes a Na'vi warrior for good. At its heart, this movie is all about awakening. Jake's journey is humanity's potential to change, reject greed, and rediscover balance with nature. James Cameron manages to blend ancient myth and futuristic science, giving us a world where spirituality and ecology seem synonymous. The spectacle of the movie is definitely entertaining and awe-inspiring, but underneath that lies a warning. Unchecked exploitation leads to the destruction of worlds and souls. The fall of the home tree is both a tragedy and a mirror to our own history of colonialism and environmental ruin. Back in 2009, this movie was a cultural phenomenon because, thanks to 3D, the audiences were taken to Pandora almost literally, where they experienced everything like they were one of the Omaticaya people. But also, they were reminded of their own fragility and the fragile beauty of our planet. Even though the first movie ended, everyone knew there would be something coming afterwards. That brings us to the next Avatar film, Avatar: The Way of Water, 2022, the saga of the Sully family. Pandora is at peace. Even though the home tree has been destroyed, things are going okay for the Omaticaya people. Jake Sully has fully embraced his life as a Na'vi. He still serves as Toruk Makto and the leader of the Omaticaya. He and Neytiri have built a family. However, peace is never an option. Humanity's greed is involved. The film opens with a haunting echo of the past. Massive ships enter the Pandoran airspace once more and start lighting up the forests. This time, they're not here to mine resources. This time, they're here to colonize. Why? Because Earth is dying, they decided that Pandora is the replacement. Amongst the invaders, we see a familiar face: Colonel Miles Quaritch. This time around, he's been resurrected as a recombinant avatar body with the memories and personality of a human. He's not the man he was, but his mission remains the same. Backed by the RDA, new guns, technologies, and soldiers in avatar bodies, war to destroy Jake Sully, crush the Na'vi people, begins anew. Jake, Neytiri, and their children, Taem, Loak, Kiri, Tuk, and their adopted human son Spider, must confront an enemy who knows them like the back of their hand. This sequel focuses more on family and survival instead of rebellion. Jake is no longer a lone warrior. He's a father who has to keep his family safe and balance between love and leadership. Neytiri is still protective and fierce. She struggles with the human presence of Spider, Quaritch's biological son, who was left behind by the EA when they evacuated. Each of their children symbolizes a facet of Pandora. Taem, being the oldest, is always trying to live up to his father's legacy. Loak is rebellious and emotional. He always feels misunderstood and acts out impulsively, even though the actions stem from compassion. Then you have Kiri, adopted daughter born from Grace Augustine's avatar, who has a profound connection to Eywa. And lastly, you have Spider. Even though he's human, he's agile and loyal, torn between his human origins and Na'vi upbringing. As Quaritch starts his campaign of terror against the Omaticaya people, the Sully family decides to leave because they believe that Jake's presence is what endangers his people. He steps down as the clan leader is to the Metcaina, reef-dwelling sea clan led by Tonowari and Ronald. The Metcaina live in harmony with Pandora's oceans, and their bodies have completely adapted to that lifestyle. They have a lighter skin tone and fin-like arms. Their bond with Ilu and Tolkien, the whale-like sentient creatures, is similar to Omatakaya's bond with the forest. Trust is hard to find in these trying times. Now, Jake's family has to adapt to new customs and how to survive for longer underwater, prove themselves worthy of the sea people's hospitality. Cameron introduces us to this new aspect of Pandora with stunning camera work. Now, Oceans of Pandora become a new spiritual frontier. Out of all the Sully children, Kiri stands apart. We see her connect with all Pandoran life forms in ways no one else can control sea creatures and even enter a trance through the water trees. Her origin isn't known. She was born from Grace's dormant avatar, but it's unclear who fathered her. Cameron even hints that Eywa may have directly created her, what could be considered a virgin birth. However, Kiri's power has both pros and cons. One of the spiritual connections, she ends up having a seizure. Meanwhile, Quaritch ends up finding Spider, uses the boy to learn the Na'vi ways and track Jake's family. Their bond complicates matters. Spider hates Quaritch and his cruelty, cannot deny his connection to the Colonel. Through Spider, Quaritch learns about Na'vi life, even though he never stops the war. Eventually, RDA targets the Tulk, killing them for Amrita, a substance that can supposedly halt human aging. This hunt is led by Captain Scoresby, who's clearly a representation of humanity's exploitation of nature. Metcaina find the slain Tulkun, including the one that was bonded with Ronald. Reef ends up becoming Rage because this was sacrilegious. Loak befriended a Tulkun named Peak, was blamed for past violence and was ostracized. Passion towards one another is central in the final act as Peakan eventually saves Loak from danger. Quaritch, on the other hand, kidnaps the Sully children and forces Jake into a battle. Jake and Neytiri fight with desperate fury, see her maternal rage unleashed when Tuck and Kiri are kidnapped. However, in the most gut-wrenching scene of the movie, we see Netaim, the eldest son, get mortally wounded. His death is what transforms their fight into something greater. In the end, Jake and Quaritch face off once again, and this time he survives because he was spared by Spider, who couldn't bear to kill him. But we understand where Spider was coming from. After all, it's kind of his dad. This also means the conflict between Jake and Quaritch continue to escalate. Morning comes, Jake lays his eldest son to rest in the sacred grounds of the Sea People, vows that Pandora will no longer run. This fight is theirs to finish. The Way of Water expands Avatar's mythos while also grounding it with universal themes of parenthood, sacrifice, and belonging. Jake is no longer rebelling, he's responsible for more than his own life. We also learn more about Pandora's spirituality through Kiri, because Eywa's consciousness is probably preparing for a greater battle ahead. If we were to say that the first film was about awakening, this film was all about adaptation. Na'vi must evolve, and all the biomes, the forest and the ocean, must come together to confront the threat. By the end of this film, we know one thing for sure. Humanity is going to come back to Pandora again, and this is just the beginning of the war, which will probably take a lot more to end. Setting the stage for Avatar, Fire and Ash. When the Way of Water ends, we see that Jake Sully has been completely transformed. Neytiri, despite grieving heavily, is still unbroken, ready to fight. Loak steps into the light, taking over his brother's dream and becoming a likely heir to Jake's legacy. His bond with Eywa grows stronger, implying that things will get messier with her. Spider, on the other hand, is caught between the Na'vi and his father, whom he spared. Cameron teased that in Fire and Ash we'll be introduced to a new faction, Ash People, who are more attuned to fire. Unlike the Omatakayan and the Metcaina people, these Ash People will be far more aggressive and militant in nature, so maybe this time around, we'll get some more morally complex characters to root for. In this third chapter, the Pandoran scope will be widened. We'll be introduced to the volcanic region of the moon, new cultures that come with new territories. We'll also learn more about the tribes and their internal politics. Humanity's colonization will intensify, resulting in Pandora becoming a war front for survival instead. Speaking thematically, we think this movie will explore the cost of vengeance. We'll see the Pandoran tribes unite, the role of Eywa will grow. Maybe we'll see Kiri play a greater role than we thought she would. The stakes of the franchise have never been higher. As the power and effect RDA grow, Na'vi unity will as well. We think Fire and Ash will be all about execution. Whether its people or plans, we don't know, but there's no space for adaptability or amicability. This is a do or die situation. Marvelous verdict. From the trailer, it's clear that Varang, leader of the Ash people, doesn't believe in Eywa, since Eywa didn't come for her and her people's rescue. From what it seems, she wants the world to burn like her world burned, and she ends up joining hands with Quaritch because that's the way to go about doing it. Kiri will have to lean into her connection with Eywa to save the world. Kiri fights against Varang, ferociousness the mother can have. So say what you want, but we are really excited to watch Avatar: Fire and Ash in theaters near us this December. We believe this film will give us a lot of shocking twists, but somehow will make sense when the next films come out. Plus, from the trailer, it seems like we'll be introduced to wind traders of the Na'vi people, which we're really excited to see. With that, we've come to the end of this video. Let us know in the comments down below what you think this movie is going to be about, which characters you think important, or what plot twists you think are going to pop up. We want to hear it all. Also, while you're down there, if you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.